You're listening to the Rite Retirement Show.
The 70% of people out there listening to the show today are going to need some level of care. It doesn't necessarily mean that 70% are going to end up in a nursing home, but 70% of people will need some assistance out there. The biggest fear is running out of money for the retiree, but what we see is not enough people spend enough of their money.
Cris prides himself in what matters to you. This is the Rite Retirement Show.
Hi there, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer, and we welcome you to the Rite Retirement Show with certified financial planner and financial advisor Cris Wallace, who is also president of WG Financial Group. And then joining us from the firm is Graham Bauer. He is a certified financial planner as well, financial advisor there, and an enrolled agent. They're both here today, of course, again, to give us helpful advice about planning for an awesome retirement. Now, if you have questions during our show today, here's the way to reach out to Cris and our team, complimentary, 256-937-2010. You may call the number, or if you prefer texting, just text the word visit to get on their calendar for a complimentary discovery session. Remember, you can check us out on Facebook anytime throughout the week. Cris will update with any news headlines that may happen between now and when this show airs. Remember, the motto here is plan, retire, and play. We always talk about how you can do that. Find us online at wgfinancialgroup.com. And remember, this show is also available wherever you get your podcast. Just search for the Rite Retirement Show. And Cris and Graham, hello to you both.
Hello to you, Lou Ann. Glad to be here. What a crazy week, actually. And just in the news cycle.
Yeah, right?
It seems like we say that a lot these days, but it is true.
So wild week in the just in the news cycle in general. But 4th of July, was it good, Lou Ann? Did you guys have
I had a good one. Yeah, I went swimming at the pool. It was a blast. The whole neighborhood was there.
You can swim?
I can.
You know how to swim? Okay.
I'm a swimmer.
I just learned last week.
You did not.
You still have all your fingers, right?
I have everything. Yes.
Okay. It's dangerous out there.
It is a little dangerous out there. It got a little loud when we were watching fireworks in my daughter's neighborhood, and I decided, okay, Bobby and I both were like, I think we've had enough. It was pretty loud, man. Those big booms, those ones that just go boom, they've gotten louder.
Graham, you've seen the backup Terry reel, right?
The back it up, Terry. Put it in reverse.
Put it in reverse, Terry. Terry, put it in reverse. Oh my goodness, it's so fun.
Every 4th of July, I think about that.
I do. So there was no backup Lou Ann.
No.
Nobody's screaming backup Lou Ann.
Oh my! It sounds like somebody shot off a big one.
So we need to send you that reel. We'll do that after the show.
Send me that reel.
It's really, really funny. Graham had it pulled up, I think, yesterday at the office.
Okay.
Some people at the office hadn't seen it. They were getting a kick out of it. So, all right. Speaking of real talk. That's a great segue.
Real talk.
Great segue. So I happened to be on the 4th of July on Facebook's doom scrolling, as we like to call it. And I ran across a reel that I said, you know what? Hey, I sent it to you guys, and Lou Ann, you responded back, why are you working? And I said,
this is the 4th of July. He's sending me something on the 4th of July.
Yeah. But I wasn't working.
Okay.
I was scrolling, and that popped into my feed, and I was like, oh, this will be a great real talk. So I sent it to you. You responded right away. Graham didn't respond until like 4 days later.
Because he really wasn't working. He wasn't near his phone.
I think I liked it. I think I hit you with one of those little thumbs up or something like that.
I did.
Which, by the way, the thumbs up is the most passive aggressive emoji out there.
Well, I think it is if you send a thumbs up, but if you just the little thing that hovers above the message.
Just put a heart on it and be done with it.
Yeah, but I don't love everything.
Chris wants you to love everything.
To me. Like when my employer sends me a reel about that we're going to talk about the radio on 4th of July. I don't know if I love that. Maybe I like it, but
he's not going to love it on that day. He's like, whatever.
Feels like I'm blowing you a kiss for that or something.
Oh yeah.
Do that.
All right, I'm turning red here. All right, so let's go ahead and get into real talk. The one that I sent was it was called This Account. And they actually call it a program in the actual video that we watched. It's TFRA, Tax-Free Retirement Account. Ooh, sounds really cool.
Ooh, nice. Yes.
Who wouldn't want one of those? Exactly. Except it's life insurance.
Oh.
So the video that I sent you guys was a link within a reel. So I watched the reel. I watched the female walk through like these different like pros and cons, really mostly pros about this type of account. And then I started digging through the profiles. Like, I'm going to be nosy.
Yeah.
Like, is this person licensed? Are they just insurance only? Let's find out what it is. And so I went through, and I won't even tell you all of the things. None of them is really bad. It's just all insurance stuff. And all they do is promote insurance. And so one of these links was to this TFRA that sent you out to YouTube. And we went and took a look at that. And as we watched the video, I don't know if you caught it, but it said, most financial advisors don't know about this account. That's why you've never heard of it. The TFRA, the tax-free retirement account.
Yeah.
And then it went on to say, most financial advisors don't even know how to set one of these up properly. And I'm thinking to myself, it's just a whole life policy with a cash value component or a universal life. And then it says less than 7.07% of people have this type of account. Do you remember seeing this?
I do. And, I think that's kind of a funny point to make, because when you look up terrible infectious diseases, maybe only 0.07% of people have those too, but you might not want to be the person with it. Just small numbers don't necessarily mean it's a great kept secret.
Yeah.
It could also mean that it's not a good investment. That is one of the things that, when I took it from it, it's like less than 7.07% of people have this. And I'm like, yeah, because it's not the way most people need to go with their investments. And then through the video, they went on to kind of really be kind of harsh towards 401ks. Number one, they're taxed heavily. You can't access at any time. You have funding limits. Goes down with the market, which, by the way, when things go down, they also go up. And then it's reportable to the IRS. They really played this account up as like, this is the greatest thing ever. And the more and more I watch, because I watched this thing like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, this is great marketing. It was done with like animation, like cartoon, but to the person that doesn't know any better, it would sound great. I mean, who doesn't want to save on taxes? I mean, I think most people, want to save on taxes, but to put your money into this life insurance type product, I don't know that that's the best option for a lot of people. So not a fan of this reel, the TFRA, even though it sounds cool. It's acronym. It's kind of cool sounding. Not a fan of that. I don't know if you have an opinion on it, Graham. If not, we'll move into Fed talk this morning.
Yeah, I think, setting, well, obviously RA just stands for retirement account, but I think having an RA at the end of something almost makes it sound a little bit more like it's an official retirement account that you could have through your employer, similar to, some type of IRA or Roth IRA. But yeah, you see these things, and, if you're someone that understands what you're looking for and has, understands the industry, you know what they're actually saying. But I do agree to the average person, it could be, it could be pretty convincing, even if it wouldn't be necessarily the right direction that everybody needs to go in.
Exactly. No, exactly. So with that, we'll move from real talk into Fed minutes. And we received a phone call yesterday. Sounds like the DoD Army decided to put out a Vera VSIP. And so we got a call yesterday on that. So on that, I don't think that they've offered this type of arrangement. I don't know, Graham, was it 2013 or 2014?
Yeah, it's been over 10 years.
It's been a long time ago, right? Yeah. So there's, the government still is looking at ways to reduce headcounts. And so you're starting to see this expand a little bit more, probably into an area that, by the person we spoke to, they didn't expect it, just because it had been a long time since they had offered something like this. We also mentioned last week that there was a time when you worked for the federal government, you didn't have to worry about this type of thing. You got a job at the federal government, you were going to have employment for the rest of your life, you're going to have pension, healthcare, et cetera. And now they're still looking to kind of reduce headcounts there. So if you're a federal employee, you can give our office a call at 256-937-2010. We'll be happy to sit down with you. I know a lot of you have been to these classes where they bring in and I'm doing my little quotations, a so-called expert to talk about the federal benefits, many of which don't apply directly to you. So what we do at the office is we just offer a personalized discovery session where we collect some data. We can run an analysis on not only the benefits and kind of which way you should go with benefits, but also just a financial plan, like putting together a holistic financial plan. As many of you know, we have 4 certified financial planners on staff, and we do more of a holistic approach. And so if you'd just like more of a personalized session, you can give our office a call at 256-937-2010.
Can I throw in one more quick thing about the Fed, this before we move on? We have a lot of employees who are federal employees, and a lot of them who know other people in the federal government. And I'll just say I have it on decent authority, I would say pretty good authority, that this VSIP that they've offered right now is probably the max they're going to do in, at least on the DoD side. They're not offering a deferred retirement program right now. And technically the DoD VSIP fare can get up to $40,000. But from, what I've heard, what it looks like, this is probably the best offer that's going out, unless just no one decides to take it and they really need to cut people. But I do think it is a pretty good opportunity for people who, especially those who were already thinking about retiring or thinking, maybe I just need a little more to kind of nudge me into retirement. And like I said, there's a good chance it'll be, probably the best offer if you're thinking about trying to hold out.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think it's really good for those that are in that window.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you're in that last year and you're planning to retire at the end of the year anyway, or maybe sometime in 2026, maybe this incentivizes you to go ahead and take that option and kind of move out the door. Regardless, you can give our office a call. We'll be happy to talk to you about what we think, and we can kind of make it personal. So with that, we can kind of move into the next part of the show, which again was a busy week, not only from just a news standpoint, but on July the 4th, the OBBB was signed into law, which included several tax changes. And Graham and I thought it would be a great idea to go ahead and take, what was in there for the most part, not every little piece, but for the most part, go through this and make sure that we can kind of help the listener understand the benefits of it.
Right.
So,
I love it. I'm so excited to talk about this One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
Yes, the One Big Beautiful Bill. And I tell you, the name, I don't know what you think, Graham, but the name it's kind of annoying.
It's cheesy.
If I'm being honest.
It's so cheesy.
Yeah, it's one of those things, sort of like when you go to a restaurant and you like want to order something, and then you have to ask for like a side of boom boom sauce or something. Where you're like, I just feel kind of weird saying that, when I address it. I kind of agree where, it's not my favorite name to say, but it's law now. So
no, but it is so Trump.
It is. It is so Trump.
You can tell he named the bill.
Of course he did. Yes.
One Big Beautiful
Bill. Yeah.
So what does it mean? Let's kind of dig through this. So we have some notes prepared. And we actually, the day after, we actually sent notes to all of our current clients. So they got kind of a preview of this. So we're going to talk in more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on top of stuff at WG. That's what we do. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. All right, big thing right off the bat, the marginal tax rates stayed the same. So the 10, the 12, 22, 24, 32, 35, and 37, they all stayed in place. Now, why is this important? Well, it's some of the lowest tax rates in history. And so these brackets are put in place. They are permanent. So let's talk about what permanent means. Permanent doesn't mean permanent.
Darn it.
But wait a minute. I thought permanent means permanent.
Yeah. Why are we calling it permanent?
Yeah, it doesn't. It means permanent until some other congressional party comes in, maybe another administration, another majority, and they vote to change it. So it can be changed.
It's really not permanent.
It's not permanent. It's permanent until it's not.
Yes.
So maybe we can say it that way.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a kind of an interesting indication of maybe, and I think the listeners will see this as we go through, a lot of the law changes are temporary law changes. The marginal one is, quote permanent with quotation marks. But a lot of them run through 2028. That's kind of a very common theme with a lot of them. So I feel like that is in some ways a realization that, nothing's permanent in government. I don't think 60 years from now these will still be the tax rates. But, and I'm sure this is what you're getting into, that it does certainly keep a window that has been open for, however long it is for some creative tax strategy and planning.
Yeah, I think the next 3 to 4 years are really good. Like really good, because there are some things we're going to go through here in just a minute that I think are awesome. But to your point, Graham, you mentioned the brackets are permanent until they're not, with quotations, as we said. But some of the things within the bill are really through 2028. Now, why is this? Personally, and again, gospel according to Cris, it was because Trump ran on certain promises. So he was able to put things in this bill to basically say promises made, promises kept. So a lot of the things, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, being able to deduct auto interest. These are all things he mentioned on the campaign trail. And I believe personally that he was able to get the bill passed by saying, okay, guys, listen, and I'm paraphrasing here, and I will not try to talk like Trump because I'm terrible at voiceovers. But essentially, when they're negotiating, he's like, guys, 3 years, 3 to 4 years. And then when I'm out of here, these expire. So it basically, he made some promises. He was able to get them voted into law. When he's out of the office, they'll also expire as well. So that's just my personal opinion on how he was able to get all of the votes and get it passed. So a couple of things on the tax brackets that I feel like is pretty significant. So the reason this is great for really anybody, in my opinion, but specifically those who are in the 12, the 22, and 24 brackets today, because the 12 bracket would have become the 15, the 22 would have become the 25, and the 24 would have been the 28. There would have been some bleed over there. The 12 to the 15 represents about a 25% marginal tax increase. So the 12, the 22, and the 24, I think we can all agree on this show that would represent the middle class.
Right.
Do you kind of agree with that? Luann?
Yes, right.
I'm just making sure you're still with us.
I didn't know if you meant that for Graham, but I agree.
You agree as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so the 12 becomes the 15. That's a 25% jump in marginal rate. The 22 to the 25 represents a 14%, and the 24 up to the 28 represents a 17% jump in marginal rate.
Wow.
So these rates staying the same are important for those individuals. The 10 is the 10, so there's no change there. The 32 would have become the 33, and the 35 stays the 35, and the 37 would have become the 39.6 if these brackets were to have expired. So that middle class tax bracket, again, the 12, 22, and 24, I feel like this is fairly important there in terms of keeping tax rates low for a little bit longer. So let's move into the retiree. So one of the things that Trump ran on was no tax on Social Security. Remember him talking about that?
Yeah.
And okay. I was asking you specifically on that one, Luann.
Okay, yeah, because my husband still thinks that it passed, but go ahead, explain.
Yes, it did not.
Yeah.
It's murky.
It's
but
murky.
It 100% didn't pass. So I want to make sure.
Yeah, it wasn't even in the bill.
It's not in the bill.
Explain why.
Because there's something called the Byrd Rule. And without getting too much into the weeds on the Byrd Rule, when I say the Byrd Rule, it was established back in the mid 80s, and I'm talking about BYRD. And I believe there's some senator that it's named after.
Yeah, it was Senator Byrd.
Was it? Okay. Yes, it was a senator. And essentially what the Byrd Rule says, and I'll just kind of, just give you like the quick and dirty. They can't change Social Security with a budget reconciliation bill like this one. And the OBBB was part of was using the budget reconciliation process. So they couldn't change Social Security. So what they did to get around this was they increased the standard deduction or they gave an additional standard deduction for those that are 65 and older at this point. So when we're looking at the 65 and older standard deduction, Graham was kind enough and ran some numbers for us. The first thing that they did was they did increase just the basic standard deduction in 2025 up to $31,500. In addition to that, when you're 65, you get an additional $3,200 of additional standard deduction when you hit 65.
As a married couple, yeah.
Yes, as a married couple. Thank you for pointing that out. And then if you're a married couple, now you get, and you're above 65 or older, you get an additional $12,000. So you basically get a standard deduction of $46,700. Now, this is significant, and it has nothing to do with Social Security. So you could be 65. This is why we wanted to do the show, because this is going to answer a lot of questions for a lot of people. And then people are going to say, you know what? Let's call them. They know, they're up on things. They know what they're talking about. So it has nothing to do with Social Security. So you could essentially be 65 years old this year, because the IRS is going to look at your birthday on December 31. And you could take all of this deduction, especially if you're a married couple, both 65 and older, but you could still be deferring Social Security.
Okay.
So the reason this has no impact on Social Security, because if you were 62, you don't get any of this that we're talking about. You just get the straight $31,500 standard deduction. And if you're 62 and collecting Social Security, it don't matter. You're still getting that 30% penalty that we always talk about on the show, and you're only going to get the $31,500 standard deduction. So I'm hoping that clears up a lot of the questions that'll be kind of floating around. How much do we get? Do we still get the $3,200 as a married couple for just being 65? It's our understanding, yes. And then you get the additional $6,000 per person, which equals $12,000.
Yeah. So again, just to kind of clarify, the big change here was the additional $6,000 bonus deduction on top of, the standard and the additional standard to our understanding, which, makes a pretty massive standard deduction for post 65. I mean, good luck itemizing to anybody out there. And we'll get into some other, I think you were about to jump in with something there, maybe on the SALT cap. And so there are some other things that might make it possible for people to itemize. But I would venture to say, if you weren't itemizing, you're not probably, this isn't going to move the needle. If anything, move the needle back. But, who cares? You're getting a bigger standard deduction. I don't know why you'd want to itemize if you got a $46,000 standard.
Yeah, I was reading some stuff on a Facebook page. So if it's on Facebook, it's got to be true.
Oh, of course.
This wasn't really anything other than this person was griping about not being able to itemize. And I'm thinking to myself, if you can't itemize, there's a really good possibility the standard deduction is actually higher than what your itemization was.
Yeah.
So you're probably better off.
Probably.
At least for a few dollars, right?
Yeah.
So why is this important? Why do we talk about this? So before on the show, multiple times, we've talked about Social Security and the tax efficiency of Social Security. And what I want to say here is this new standard deduction for 65 and older opens up a much larger window for what we call a free Roth conversion. So underneath the old law, 65-year-old couple, let's just say there's $60,000 in Social Security income alone. That's all they have. There's a pretty good shot they can convert without any federal tax somewhere in the neighborhood of, would you say, Graham, roughly 20,000, maybe 21?
Yeah,
in that range.
Not a lot of other income sources, no pensions,
Correct.
But yes,
with just Social Security, right? Well, the fact now that we have a $46,700 standard deduction, that widens that conversion window fairly significantly, probably to the tune of an extra $10,000 to $12,000. Now, I don't have exact figures, and of course, I want you to see your tax person. I'm not trying to give tax advice, all of that good stuff. But what I can tell you is just by looking at the numbers, it's going to widen that window for that, what we call a free Roth conversion on the federal side, right? So you'll want to work with your advisor, your tax person, make sure you're doing things correctly there. And also, as of today, not all the softwares are updated at this point. But if the old standard deduction was roughly, let's call it 30,000, and now we're looking at 46,700, that's a pretty significant jump. So I wanted to kind of point that out. I know internally at WG we'll be focusing on a lot of these tax law changes to see how it could best benefit our internal clients. And we'd love to have you come in as well and talk to us about how it can impact your financial plan as well. One other thing here. So just kind of to stay with the deductions. So the other thing that was passed was the $10,000 car loan interest cap. So you can now deduct car loan interest up to $10,000. But there's a catch here. There's a couple of catches. Number one, the car must be made in the United States, must be finalized, final made. So basically roll off the assembly line here in the United States. So Graham came in and he knows I was in the auto industry for a number of years. There are foreign car companies that are doing final assembly here in the United States. So those would actually qualify. So if they came off, and I can't think of any off the top of my head because when I worked in the auto industry, I was for GM and Chrysler.
Right.
But there are foreign car companies here that do final assembly here in the United States.
Okay.
The second thing is you must have bought the car at the first of this year. So after 12/31/2024. So the car would have needs to be purchased after that time frame. And then there's also a phase out limit for income. So it's for a single filer, it's $100,000. For married filing jointly, it's $200,000. and the amount will be reduced by about 20% over these limits. So essentially for every $1,000, the amount that you can deduct will be reduced by $200 for over that amount. So let's say that you're 65 years old, you've got the standard deduction. Let's say you've bought a car in 2025. Now you've got this extra deductibility. And then they also threw in some charitable stuff as well. So a married couple could claim $2,000 above the line. So as far as a charitable deduction, so that's another way that you can also reduce your tax bill. So this thing is just chock full. And I believe families should really take a look at this. Individuals or families should really take a look at this and figure out with your advisor and your tax person, how can you best, utilize the tools that are available today? Because this bill has a lot of different tools and ways to potentially reduce somebody's tax situation.
So you know what, Chris? Companies like Toyota, Honda, BMW, Hyundai, and Kia, they have assembly line or final assemblies here in the United States. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I knew there was a lot of them. I just, like I said, when I was in the industry over 20 years ago, I was primarily U.S. car based. Yeah. So, what would be American cars, Ford, GM, and Chrysler? Yeah.
So one thing, just to add on the standard deduction, and this is a theme with a lot of these changes too, just to make people aware. There is a lot of phase outs for a lot of these too. So you mentioned there's the phase out for the car interest deductibility. There is also a phase out for that extra standard deduction. So if you're someone making, you're still working at 66, making $400,000 a year, you're not going to get the extra standard deduction. You'll still get that, whatever it is, $2,000 if you're single, or, $1,600 each if you're married, but you won't get that extra one. But I 100% agree that there's going to probably be a longer time horizon than just the next 3 years of these brackets being in place. I don't know what that looks like, but while you have that extra standard, the extra charitable giving floor on top of that, some of these other types of tax savings, I agree. It's a great time to say, hey, if I'm going to look at some longer term tax strategy, there might not be a better time in the rest of your life to be looking at that than 2025 through 2028. And that's not hyperbole at all, at least not to me.
I don't think so to me either, Graham. It's the most, it's just full of opportunity in my opinion. The phase out limits you were talking about. So most of these things that we talk about, other than the brackets, all run through the end of 2028. The $6,000, that extra standard deduction amount, actually reduces by 6%, by which your amount exceeds $75,000 for a single filer and $150,000 for a married filing joint couple. So even with up to $150,000 worth of income, you still get a lot of that extra deduction. And even if you're over that, it's only reduced by a certain amount. So again, take a look, get with your financial advisor. If it's not us, find somebody to kind of work with your tax person, and figure out what are the best strategies that you can use to best benefit yourself, your family, and take advantage of this time in the next 3 or 4 years, because we feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity here. Luann, we are done with the first half of the show. I want to continue. Yeah, I want to continue. We still have more to go. We want to walk through other parts of this bill, and then we'll get into the normal show. But I just felt like, because this is new, this is a great opportunity for people to really get some questions answered and stay off the internet. And again, if you're catching the first half of the show on the way to church, we appreciate you listening. Give us a call, 256-937-2010. If you want to catch the back half of the show, step out to Apple Podcast platform or Spotify, and you can catch the whole show there. Again, our number is 256-937-2010.
Are questions about your financial future, such as, have I saved enough? Or will my retirement last, keeping you up at night? Text VISIT to 256-937-2010. That's text VISIT to 256-937-2010 and schedule your consultation today.
Are you a federal employee feeling pressure from the early retirement offers like VERA, VSIP, or the Deferred Resignation Program? Recent government initiatives have introduced significant changes to federal retirement programs, making employees feel pressured to consider early retirement or face potential layoffs. At WG Financial Group, we help guide federal employees through these uncertain times. Our team understands the complex federal retirement systems and can help you make informed decisions. Call 256-937-2010 to schedule your complimentary discovery session with us today. We'll help you assess your options and create a personalized retirement plan to help you feel more confident. Visit WGFinancialGroup.com or call 256-937-2010 to book your session. Firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
If lingering doubts like, have I saved enough? Or will my retirement funds endure? Are on your mind? It's time to consult with Cris Wallace. Text VISIT to 256-937-2010. That's 256-937-2010 to book your appointment and get the answers you need.
And we thank you so much for spending part of your Sunday with us. This is the Rite Retirement Show. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Cris Wallace and Graham Bauer. Chris is president of WG Financial Group, and both are certified financial planners and financial advisors at WG Financial Group. Okay, let's continue with the one big beautiful bill. We're kind of breaking it down today, and we're not done yet. We've gone through a lot, and you guys have been so helpful in explaining, what does this mean to us? And it's especially interesting to me, 65 plus. I'm 66 almost. So yeah, this is good stuff here. All right, continue.
Yes. Yeah, so let's do it. Talk a quick second about what's called bonus depreciation. So one of the big benefits within the tax code is depreciation of assets. So like when you have a residential rental property, you can depreciate that property over, I think it's 27 and a half years. And now the bonus depreciation is back at 100%. So they'd kind of phase that down to certain percentage levels. And this change in the tax code actually brought it back to 100%. The catch here, because there's always catches with these things, is the asset purchased needed to be put in place on or after January the 19th, 2025. In our opinion, this could really provide some beneficial tax planning opportunities for rental property owners that have bought rental properties here in the last 2 to 3 months. And then you can kind of couple that with something called cost segregation, and you could probably get some nice tax opportunity there. Going to move into EV credits. I want to say electronic vehicles, but it just sounded weird to say that. But this is probably why Elon got upset. Because, well, part of the reason he got upset, I'm sure there were multiple reasons, but the EV credits, so there's all these good things in the tax bill, and they took away the EV credits at the end of September, which I don't know how most of the listeners are going to look at that. I actually didn't like that one. Because I don't, because, obviously oil and gas is great. But I'm not opposed to basically generating or developing other sources of income and ways to just power life in general. And if you look at the grid that China is doing versus what we're doing, I think that's a problem long term. And I won't really go down that path right now. I just didn't like that they ended that. I also didn't like that they ended the energy efficient home improvements and residential energy credits at the end of the year as well. I do think that where possible, if you're able to do some solar things at the house, in my simple mind is like, how can that be a bad thing, right? That only helps. Yeah. And how could that be a bad thing? So anyway, those are taken away. I wasn't a big fan of that, but it is what it is. And I think that that probably got under Elon's skin a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it did.
It certainly affects Tesla stock and the company in general a lot, because those credits, they were I think they were a big help in getting more people to, buy an EV. I forget exactly. I think, was it like $7,000 or $8,000 or something for first year EV tax? Wow. It was pretty big.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what it is. But to be honest, like I don't own a Tesla. I own a gas car. Either. But I don't know if you've ever ridden in one, and I'm not promoting, the listener to go buy a Tesla, but they're a sweet car.
Yeah.
Like my friend of mine has one, and I went for a ride in it. First of all, they're wicked fast, like break your neck, whiplash fast. and just the inside of it was really cool. It rode really nice. Anyway, enough about Tesla, or any other EV rather, because it hit all of them. It wasn't just Tesla; it hit all the EVs that are trying to make a name for themselves. So the other thing that Trump ran on was no tax on tips. So here again with a catch, up to $25,000. I actually didn't think this is a big tax hit overall, just because I don't think tips, for the most part, especially cash tips, I would just be inclined to think, again, just my simple mind is the cash tip probably doesn't get reported.
That is kind of the funny catch-22 of this is that, you have to report the tips to your employer in order to get the deduction. Yeah. So, I've never been a server that worked for cash tips, like truly paper cash tips before. But yeah, there's still FICA tax on the tips that you report, just no federal tax. But I actually will say, from what I heard of how they were going to do this, it was different than what I thought. I was under the impression that this would be like an itemized deduction, but it's actually an above the line deduction.
It's an above the line, right?
Yeah, so you can still take the standard on top of this. So for people who were pretty low income working for cash tips, it's probably not going to change a whole lot if they weren't paying a lot in taxes. But for people in the, I would say $50,000 to $80,000 range that, do have cash tips. And I was a little confused by this at first, but when they say cash tips, that also counts when they turn that screen around to you and say, do you want to, it's just going to ask you a few questions. It counts those too. Those are considered, quote unquote cash because they're not like property or something. Yeah. But, I know it's a lot more of that than it is paper cash these days.
Yeah. Let's talk just a sec, as you mentioned above the line, right? So let's talk for a second about that. So the listener understands that. The meat on the bone is above the line because that's a dollar for dollar reduction to your gross income. So to make it simple, if your income is $200,000 and you take $25,000 above the line, you now your adjusted gross income is now $175,000. So you've taken away $25,000 off the top of potentially taxable income. And then below the line is where the standard deduction comes into play. So that above the line, just essentially, if I can simplify this, the way that I think about it is it creates a much lower starting point on the tax return in terms of numbers. So because your income is actually reduced. So the fact that actually a lot of these are above the line deductions, it's huge. It's a huge tax savings, which is why some people, I think, are upset because they, because of the trillions of dollars that are going to be added to the deficit over 10 years. But a lot of it is the tax savings. So there's an argument that the tax savings should stimulate growth. It should stimulate wage growth. But there's not a really good way to actually prove that. So from a math perspective, even though the CBO is kind of factored in $3 to $4 trillion in additional debt, there's not really a good way to calculate stimulating the economy and wages via tax cuts. Also, the other thing to kind of stay with this theme on the added amount to the deficit is, the tariffs that Trump has put in place and the amount of money that they're bringing in. The CBO has not factored in the additional income that's coming in from tariffs. And one of the latest ones that was done to Vietnam is about $26 billion a year to the U.S. And that's just the one for Vietnam that the U.S. over a year's time frame should realize. So when you're reading articles out there, people are talking about, institutions talking about the added deficit, especially the CBO, they haven't taken into account the tariffs. And just remember that there's not really a good way to calculate the potential for stimulation of growth here. I'll wrap up this little part on the added debt and we'll get back into the actual bill itself. I think the one thing, honestly, that's missing here, I don't remember if we talked about this or not, just you and I personally, Graham. We did a little bit last week, but not in this context. I think the missing element to this right now is lowering of interest rates. And I feel like all of the things are in place that are needed to really have the economy take off, but we need a little bit, looser of a monetary policy. And I think right now, you're going to see Trump really, really lean on the Feds to drop rates. And I made some predictions last week. I thought the market would finish about 9.4 at the end of the year. We'll see where that stands. I also think that they'll probably do a 25 basis cut in September. So we'll see where that stands. But I do believe that these tax cuts, should help stimulate the economy. And I believe right now the missing element right now is the interest rate component. So with that, let's get back into the bill itself. For the no tax on tips, we mentioned it was $25,000. It also has an income phase out. So for a single individual, that starts at $150,000. For married filing jointly is $300,000. And for overtime, the deduction is up to $12,500. And it also has the same income phase outs there. And then lastly, probably one of the big ones that we'll talk about is doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't really impact Alabama as much, but really more so like the higher states, like higher tax states like California, New Jersey, New York, places like that, that higher SALT cap that is increasing up to $40,000. Currently it's at $10,000. So now the SALT cap is increasing all the way to $40,000, and actually it will continue to increase by 1% through 2029. And then in 2030, it reverts back to the $10,000. So there is also a phase out here. If you are a very wealthy couple making $500,000 or more, then you don't get that entire phase out. So for situations like this, probably some good tax planning would be warranted to make sure you try to keep that income up underneath $500,000 to be able to take advantage of that higher SALT cap. And SALT cap is just basically state and local tax is what it stands for. It's not like salt and pepper condiments on your kitchen table or something like that.
Yeah, I agree that you probably won't see in, Alabama or Tennessee or any of the, either no state tax states or the low state tax and not terrible on the property tax states, a huge change, especially if you're age 65 plus, because now you got this massive standard deduction. But, for some people, if you were just under the limit of being able to itemize and you're not over age 65, there is a chance that you might be able to actually itemize if you have, maybe a very large property owner, or, you have a large income, but not so large that you're phased out. It's you got to be in the right area.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just I guess the message here is find you an advisor, find you a tax person, make sure that both understand, what's going on here and really how to best maximize the situation, especially over the next few years. So, Luann, that kind of covers all of our talk about the OBBB. Did you have anything you wanted to bring up? Did Graham, did you have anything additional you wanted to mention?
Yeah, let me add one thing that I think is kind of interesting, that I think also pertains to the retiree, pre-retiree. There was a couple small changes to HSA plans. So
I'm awake.
One of the changes was direct primary care can now be implemented without like affecting HSA eligibility. I see this more and more nowadays, and I haven't personally used someone that does this, but the model where people pay almost like monthly, like a subscription for doctor services for their primary care physician. Mm-hmm. That's not going to affect HSA eligibility. In fact, it looks like up to a certain amount, $300 for a family, $150 a month for an individual, that will actually be HSA eligible as a cost. And then one thing that I actually really like, I'm interested to see what this looks like practically, but there's some expanded HSA eligibility on the ACA exchange. So the Affordable Care Act exchange, there were some changes to the ACA. From what I read, it seemed like mostly paperwork filing requirements and eligibility requirements kind of got mixed around. But I mean, I know personally a lot of people who have been on the ACA, specifically in that gap of, maybe you retired at 55, 58, 60, and you need to bridge to Medicare. People will very commonly use the ACA. And sometimes you'll meet someone that's on it and they have like a $10,000 deductible, but they're not HSA eligible. So more of those type of plans that are high deductible but not HSA eligible are going to become HSA eligible, which I think is actually a pretty neat little change.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I never understood how if you had a $10,000, $12,000 deductible, you weren't HSA eligible. It just felt stupid.
Yeah, we've talked to people that have, on paper, on their plan a higher deductible than what's actually required.
Like way higher.
Way higher.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think this is an excellent change. It makes it compatible, with those types of plans.
Yeah. For the bronze plans and the catastrophic plans are the two that are now considered HSA eligible beginning at the end of 2025. And then if you're a younger person, dependent care, FSAs, flexible spending accounts, usually, to put it simply, accounts people use for daycare, those got a little raise, so you can put $7,500 in there a year now. So a couple little employee benefit changes there. And then I just got to bring up, because I'm curious, Chris, if you have thoughts about this. Do you feel like the Trump accounts are completely useless if you look into how they actually work? They seem like that they're a 529 account with none of the tax benefits.
Yeah, it's just something for, I guess, bragabouts.
I mean, I would say if you want to get a free $1,000 for your baby, go ahead and get the free $1,000. But from what I've read, pretty much you contribute, it grows not tax free, and then you pull it out with taxes without exception. So there's probably some better options there still, but an extra $1,000, I guess, if you got a baby, never hurts.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm more excited about the HSA change, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I'll say even, for example, my parents had been on an ACA plan that was very high deductible and wasn't HSA eligible. And it just, I don't know, it always bothered me because I was like, you can have a $4,000 deductible and be HSA eligible and then be on ACA and have a $10,000 one and not be. So
if you've got one of those plans, and that's something you really need to look into, because in HSA, we talk about these a lot on the show. We don't get paid to do them. So make that super clear. But they help reduce your taxable income, number one, because they are an above the line deduction, which we just discussed a few minutes ago. So that reduces your, taxable income. The second thing is, while you're invested in an HSA, so you've gotten the reduction to gross income from using the HSA, the money inside of the HSA then grows tax free. So like an IRA, essentially. And then on the backside, you can pull them out or pull the proceeds out or pull the money out without paying tax on it for qualified medical expenses. And there's a pretty wide list of things that you can use an HSA for. So a lot of times you'll hear people say that they are triple tax advantage, and that's the reason why. So they're tax advantage going in. While it's in there, it's tax advantage, and pull it out to pay for qualified medical expenses, it's tax advantage. A couple of things just to note here on the HSA, since we're on this topic, and I absolutely love it. At age 65, you can actually access the HSA monies. And if you can access it for non-qualified medical expenses, but you have to pay the taxes. So at 65, you can continue taking money out of the HSA tax-free. But if you need it to, I'll just use something crazy. I'm going to buy a new car. You can take the money out to buy the new car, but you're going to pay the taxes on the money at that point because you didn't use it for qualified medical expenses. And then lastly, they're a really bad vehicle to die with for beneficiary reasons. So if you're going to have an HSA, which we believe in, we want you to use that HSA. So whether you pay for your medical expenses, pay for your long-term care premiums, whatever the case may be, we want you to kind of use that bucket of money up, because if you die with it, your beneficiaries have to pay the taxes in the year of death. So, and if you have, 80 grand in an HSA, which not a lot of people do, but if you did, it's quite a bit of money that's stuck in one. I do have a couple of clients with a lot of money, and I've told them in meetings, past meetings, we need to spend that money, like for medical, like now, because you got a lot of money trapped in there.
Wow.
And we want to use that. So
yeah. And one other smaller thing, and not a lot of people probably end up doing this because it's a lot of grunt work. But if you're an HSA freak like we are sometimes, maybe you'd like to know this. You can also save receipts for medical care that you had in the past and reimburse yourself from your HSA later on. So for example, like if you had a baby and got a $5,000 bill from the hospital and you don't want to pay that out of your HSA because you want it to keep growing
today, were today.
You want it to keep growing today and for the future, you can save that bill. And then, when it's later in life and you want to pull the money out to buy something different for $5,000, you can reimburse yourself tax-free if you keep that receipt. So
that's correct.
I'm sure there are some people out there that have, that are privy to this and have massive bins of receipts that your beneficiaries are going to have no idea what to do with when you pass away. But it is a cool little trick if you have the dedication.
That's correct. Yeah. You want to make sure for any medical, you keep all your receipts. That's for sure. Yeah. Good point, Graham. Excellent point. So Luann, that wraps everything.
Well, I was going to say one thing about, you keep hearing people say, oh, Medicare and Social Security, so many people are going to, be starving and they're going to lose money and all that. I did want to mention that the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget is saying that they've decided Medicare and Social Security is going to be insolvent by 2032. So that is moved up a year than what was currently projected. But, I'm sure they're going to make changes before anything drastic happens. Don't you agree?
Well, that's a good point, actually. We talk about Social Security and Medicare a lot on the show. And one of the things is about Social Security running out. But, we've been hearing this for quite a long time right now. So there will have to be something done to prolong Social Security. And I guess to your point with the, with the passage of this particular bill and the things within it, it probably does expedite that a little bit. Mm-hmm. They'll do something. I don't mean to sound nonchalant about it, but I just believe that, I've said it before, the party that's in office when barrel's about to run out, they're going to pass the bill and get it done. And then they'll say, yay, we saved Social Security. And we're going to be like, yeah, but you made us hang on until the very last minute when you should have done something 10, 15, even 20 years ago.
And that goes for the lawmakers, everybody, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the whole debt ceiling thing. How many times in the past 10 to 15 years have we had to endure, there's a government shutdown because we got to raise the debt ceiling? It's so because dumb. They're not fiscally responsible.
Right.
They do a poor job managing money. And the same thing's going to happen with Social Security. And I will shut up and get off my soapbox right now. So we can move on.
Okay. So as my little 4-year-old granddaughter would say, hey, I have an idea.
What's the idea? Let's do it.
I want to do Think Fast. Okay. I want to go to that, looking at the time that we have left. And I just love to do this one anyway. This is where I give you bullet point questions and you have to quickly answer for me. Okay.
Man, I just went through a lot of information and now you're asking me to think fast.
I'm going to make you think fast. Yeah.
And Graham too.
Both of you. I want you to both
we're both
answer.
Thinking real slow right now.
I know.
I need some coffee.
Oh, wow. Okay. No time for that because we are on the air, but okay. So I just think it would be fun for our listeners to this is just a get to know you better. And if we have time at the end, I'll ask some other questions, generic questions about retirement. But okay, here we go. I want each of you to answer this question. Okay. All right, here we go. Think fast.
Okay.
What's the best vacation you've ever taken?
Graham, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I would say probably we had a really great trip in Europe a couple months ago, and that was super fun. But probably still our honeymoon, getting to go with Western United States, Yosemite, Zion, Colorado. I love going overseas, but man, do I love the Western U.S. So that's probably my favorite.
Okay. Chris.
So Graham, even though you ran out of gas.
Didn't run out of gas.
The car broke down.
Spark plug blew and it was 128 degrees outside Nevada. Yeah, that wasn't a fun day at all. But every other day, I mean, we were back on the road 12 hours later.
Yeah. So as far as my vacation, Jennifer and I had the opportunity to go to Barcelona back in 2013.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. We got to ride bikes in the city. I thought it was great. The old architecture, the churches was great. We've done Italy as well. So the Europe vacations, even though, again, as you guys know, I don't like to travel and I'm a nervous wreck for 24 hours until I settle down. I'll probably need some Valium when I do those trips. Now that I sit here and I'm talking through this.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably Barcelona was great.
Okay. Love it. Okay. What food could you eat every single day?
Go ahead, Graham.
Probably Mexican food.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that there are some weeks where I have had some form of taco, quesadilla, or burrito pretty much every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pizza. Pizza. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
100%. And I mentioned Italy a few minutes ago. So we were there last summer, actually. And we were there for 10 days and I ate pizza 9 out of 10 days.
No way.
I kept a count. Yes. And I could have eaten 10 out of 10, but the family wanted to go another place and they actually oddly enough, did not have pizza. at
Oh
the
my
restaurant we went
gosh,
to.
that cracks me up. This guy who is, what do I say, fitness conscientious. You eat pizza. You love pizza.
Well,
That is
listen,
hilarious.
I'm fitness conscious, but I love food. I'm a foodie.
Oh
I love
yeah.
food.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Was it the same pizza place every
Please
single day,
no,
or was it all
please
different
no.
ones?
No, it was different.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Was
but
there a best one out of all of them?
I don't remember the names. They were all really good. Pizza in Italy is amazing. You don't feel as gross like you feel when we eat. So
okay.
I'll give a shout out. Talking about pizza. Lost Pizza in Madison. Graham, you know it. It's good, right?
Yeah, we've just anointed the
Ooh.
last Monday of the month as Lost Pizza Day.
Lost
Oh.
Pizza
Office.
at
Oh,
the
in the
office.
office.
That's right.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, but here in the States, we have different ingredients that go into the food. So it's definitely a little bit different. But in Italy, I just didn't feel as bloated and kind of tired, sluggish after I eat it. But I could eat pizza every day.
Okay. I might only have one. We'll see here. What one piece of advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh man, start saving money sooner.
Save,
honestly,
save.
for me personally, I'll jump on that one first.
I feel like I am my younger
You
self
are your
right
young-
now. It's like, what advice would I give me?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of a hard one. Maybe buy. Well, I don't know if I can say that on the radio. I was gonna say a certain like stock or cryptocurrency back in
Oh, yeah.
2010.
Oh
Yeah?
yeah. For
I don't know
sure.
if I can
It's
say
okay.
that for compliance reasons, but I know that's a maybe kind of a shallow answer. But
Wish you would have.
I haven't had enough time to make enough mistakes. But give me some time. I'm sure I'll make some.
Yeah, we got time
my.
for one or two more.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
good.
So I have to ask this one. Go to karaoke song, Graham.
I've never sang karaoke
Yes,
in my
you
life.
have.
Graham,
If I
I'm
was
eyeballing you, young man.
if I was to do karaoke somewhere,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'd go with I'd probably go with like a Frank Sinatra or a Harry Connick
Whoa.
Jr. I'd probably go like a big band tune. I feel
Oh,
like
love
that's
it.
maybe just like My Way or something like that.
Yeah.
Love it.
So
oh,
I don't
Chris.
sing karaoke, never
But
have. That's
if-
the honest truth. I don't dance either. I'm like boring. All I know is like finances. So
Well, will you give us a
but-
song you sing in the shower and pretend it's karaoke?
this is embarrassing, but I like Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top.
That's a good one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
man. No,
Love
ZZ Top. By the way, they
Love it.
do not get along. Those
Aw, I
two
hate
do
that.
not get along. They actually travel separately,
That's
all that
sad.
stuff.
What? Oh,
Let's try to get one more real quick. This is
All
kind
right.
of fun. You got one more?
What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Oh, Facebook scrolling. I don't know.
No.
No, that's not an answer. That's not a Graham. Go ahead if you know.
We have a really nice park that backs up to our neighborhood, and we like to go on hikes. This time of year is kind of miserable, but when the weather's nice, that's probably my
Yeah.
favorite.
Love it.
Yeah, and maybe my wife might listen to this episode, or I might encourage her. Hey, you should catch the tail end of the show.
Yeah.
It's really great. I do enjoy walking with my wife and my dog. I think that's a great way after a long day to unwind. I know that last night actually we went on a walk, and it had been just a really good Monday. Work was great, and we just had a really nice, relaxing stroll. So.
Perfect.
Luann, those are fun. We need to do that more
See,
often. That
I've
was a
been
lot of
trying
fun.
to do that for a couple of weeks now. So
Yeah, and I'm like,
glad we
no,
got
we're going to talk about the math and the numbers and everything. And so, way to make it fun. We
Yeah,
appreciate it. So, if you have listened to the show, you found it interesting, you're a federal employee, you're nearing retirement, whatever the case may be, give us a call 256-937-2010, and we can set up your discovery session, go through your financial plan, build a layout for you so that you know you can make it all the way through retirement. 256-937-2010. I hope everybody has an awesome and blessed weekend. And remember to serve every person in every situation with a servant heart.
Graham Bauer holds the enrolled agent designation, but is not currently offering tax preparation services. Neither the firm nor its agents may give tax advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM. AEWM and WG Financial Group are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business WG Insurance Services. WG Financial Group is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by WG Insurance Services are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and WG Financial Group are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only and is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. WG Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. Information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by WG Financial. This radio show is a paid placement.